Hello, and welcome to the Londonist Christmas quiz. My name's Matt Brown, I'm editor-at-large of Londonist and your quiz master for today. Now I've got 25 fiendish questions all about London, the Thames and Christmas. Now the way to do this quiz, very simple, just play the video. After I read each question, pause the film, discuss amongst yourselves, and this is a nice family-friendly quiz, and then resume the quiz, and then I'll come back with the answers at the end of the round. Okay, without further ado, we're going into round one, which is all about Christmas in London. Question one is an easy one to start with. I want to know which country sends London a Christmas tree each year for display in Trafalgar Square? Question two, which item associated with Christmas was invented in the mid-19th century by Londoner Tom Smith from his factory near Finsbury Square? Question three. Every Christmas morning since 1864, dozens of brave souls have jumped into the icy waters of the Serpentine in Hyde Park for a swimming race. Now the winner of that race gets a cup, and it's named after which famous children's character? Question four. Name the London venue that has put on annual Christmas lectures for young people for almost 200 years, and these are now televised each year. And finally in this round, question five. What Christmas activity links the Spice Girls in 1996, Jim Carrey in 2009, and Craig David in 2016? Okay, well done everyone. Here are your answers. Question one, the country that sends Trafalgar Square a tree each year is of course Norway. Question two, the item invented by Tom Smith associated with Christmas, well, it's the Christmas cracker, and you can still buy Tom Smith Christmas crackers to this day. Question three, the children's character which the swimming race cup is named after is Peter Pan, whose statue you can find in nearby Kensington Gardens. Question four, the venue who host Christmas lectures for children each year is the Royal Institution. And question five, the thing that connects the Spice Girls, Jim Carrey and Craig David is of course switching on the Oxford Street Christmas lights. Okay, here we go with round two. Now this round is all about one of the finest stories in my opinion ever written, Charles Dickens's A Christmas Carol. 5 questions all about that wonderful story. Now question one. In the Muppet Christmas Carol, not just the best version of A Christmas Carol, but the finest movie ever made, which Muppet plays the role of Charles Dickens himself? Question two. How many spirits visit Ebenezer Scrooge in the original Dickens tale? Question three. Now this is multiple choice. Who of the following has never played the part of Scrooge in a filmed version of A Christmas Carol? Is it A, Patrick Stewart? Is it B, Ross Kemp? Is it C, Jim Carrey? Or is it D, Christopher Eccleston? Question four. In the original Dickens tale, which form of prize poultry does the reformed Scrooge ask an errand boy to fetch during the iconic "You boy" scene? And finally, question five. In which part of London do the Cratchit family live? Okay, and here are your answers to round two. Question one, the Muppet who plays Charles Dickens himself is Gonzo, or Gonzo the Great. Question two, well, Scrooge is actually haunted by 4 spirits. There's the ghosts of Christmas past, present and yet to come, of course, but also often forgotten Jacob Marley. So 4 is your answer there. Question 3, the actor who's never played Scrooge in a screen version, Christopher Eccleston. Now I think he'd make a wonderful Scrooge, don't you? Question 4, the prize poultry which the boy is sent to retrieve is a turkey. And question 5, the Cratchit family live in Camden Town, where Dickens himself lived in his childhood. Well, round 3 is all about that great Christmas tradition that I really love, which is sitting down with the family, playing a nice board game. So this is 5 questions all about games to play at Christmas. So question 1. On a standard Trivial Pursuit board, what colour represents the category of science and nature? Question 2. Which classic game was invented by Alfred Mosher Butts, that's B-U-T-T-S, in 1938? Question 3. According to urban myth, which pop star invented the game Connect 4? Question 4, Snapdragon, not a game that's well known today, but Snapdragon was an inexplicably popular Victorian Christmas game in which players had to plunge their hands into a bowl of flaming brandy to retrieve what? Question 5, which popular game has a name that means to build in Swahili? And here are your answers to round 3. So question 1, the colour that represents science and nature on the Trivial Pursuit board is of course green. Question 2, the classic game invented by the wonderfully named Alfred Mosher Butts was Scrabble. Question 3, the celebrity who invented, supposedly, Connect 4 was David Bowie, and that was an urban myth started by the DJ Stuart Maconie. It seems to have gained legs and now it's received wisdom. Question 4, Snapdragon, the Victorian game, which we no longer play, the idea was that you retrieved raisins from the bowl of flaming brandy. And question 5, the game whose name means to build in Swahili is Jenga. Well, round 4, we take a little diversion from the Christmas theme because when I'm on the South Bank, I can't help but come down to the foreshore, providing the tide is out, of course. One of the most magical places in London. So round 4, all about the Thames itself. So question 1, what happened for the final time on the Thames in early February 1814? Question 2, the Tattershall Castle is now a pub boat near Waterloo Bridge. On which other English river did it serve as a passenger ferry until 1981, when construction of the world's longest single-span suspension bridge made it redundant? Question 3. In 1995, Tower Bridge was raised to allow the passage of a 30-foot floating statue of whom? Question 4. Which Thameside settlement was first recorded in Anglo-Saxon times and has a name meaning the landing place of sheep? And question 5, multiple choice. While Mayor of London, Boris Johnson championed a project that came to be known as Boris Island. Now, what would have been on that island? Was it A, Winston Churchill themed amusement park? Was it B, an airport? Was it C, an alternative Houses of Parliament ran by teenagers? Or was it D, 50,000 new homes all just 1 metre above sea level. And here are your answers to round 4. So question 1, what happened for the final time in 1814? That was the Thames freezing over and a frost fair, which is what they always did when the Thames froze over from medieval times, a great festival on the ice. Now this never happened again after 1814 because they built a new version of London Bridge which speeded up the flow of the Thames, making it harder for it to freeze. Question 2, the Tattershall Castle, now a floating pub, but it used to be a ferry over the River Humber, and I'm just about old enough and from that part of the world to remember those boats going over the River Humber. And they built the Humber Bridge and those boats were not needed, and now one of them's down here as a floating pub in London. Question 3, the celebrity whose 30-foot statue closed Tower Bridge, or indeed opened up Tower Bridge back in 1995, was Michael Jackson. Question 4, the place on the Thames named after a landing place for sheep. Clues in the question, it was Lambeth. And question 5, the multiple choice of Boris Island. Well, that was going to be an airport on Thames, not the theme park to Winston Churchill, which would have been a confusing, baffling, hideous sort of place. But Boris Island, of course, never went ahead. And finally, we're on to round 5. Now, this is a complete random selection box of questions, but all to do with Christmas. So, question 1. On which London street with a vaguely Christmassy name did the Great Fire of London start in 1666? Question 2. Which King of England was crowned on Christmas Day 1066? Well, that should be an easy one, shouldn't it? Question 3, not so easy. Which unlikely winter sport was demonstrated on Hampstead Heath in 1950? Question 4 is another multiple choice question. Which of the following acts never had a Christmas #1 hit? Was it A, Mr. Blobby? Was it B, Bob the Builder? Was it C, the Beatles? Or was it D, Bart Simpson? And question 5, your final question of the quiz. Bit of festive maths to finish. Over the 12 days of Christmas, how many gifts did my true love give me in total? And here are your answers to round 5. So question 1, the Christmassy sounding street where the Great Fire of London began was of course Pudding Lane. Not named after a Christmas pudding, but probably named after the poo that was rolled down the hill towards the Thames in medieval times. Question 2, the King of England crowned on Christmas Day 1066, William the Conqueror or William I? Question 3, the unlikely winter sport that took place on Hampstead Heath in 1950, and this is true, ski jumping. Question 4, the only one of those people, Mr. Blobby, Bob the Builder, the Beatles and Bart Simpson, not to have had a Christmas #1, Bart Simpson. Now if you said the Beatles, you're 4 times wrong. They had 4 Christmas #1s, but we don't really think of their songs as very Christmassy. And question 5, my true love in total gave me 364 gifts, one for each day of the year except Christmas Day itself. And that's all the questions and all the answers. So that's it. How did you do? Have you totaled up your score? If you have, I can tell you how you've done compared with other people. So if you got all 25 questions right, well, clearly you're the person who was sat next to me in Gale's Bakery this morning when I was putting this quiz together and you leaned over and read my computer screen. I think it's very unlikely anyone got 25 by natural means. But 20 to 24 points, well, you're the star on top of the Christmas tree. 15 to 19 points, a job at the North Pole awaits, and probably not the top job. You'd be head of tinsel management or something like that, but still a very respectable score. 10 to 14 points, well, you jingled some of the way. 5 to 9 points, or you'd struggle to distinguish Santa from a Santander Cycle. And 0 to 4, you might as well be stuck up the chimney. Thank you for taking part in the Londonist Christmas quiz, and I wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Goodbye.